Mulan, one of Disney's biggest movies of the year, just recently came out on Disney+. It's up and streaming, and I watched it and I have some thoughts I want to share with you on whether I think you should watch it or not. Well, hello there! My name's Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney, where I talk about all aspects of Disney, from the animated movies to the theme parks to Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar, and the TV shows, and everything else in between. And that is why it's Freeform. And keep coming back every day for new daily content. If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Today, it's a review of the new 2020 live-action Mulan over on Disney+. Unless you're in a part of the world without Disney+, in which case it may actually be out in the theaters. Now this is going to be a spoiler-free review. I'm thinking about doing another video later where I compare the 1998 animated Mulan with the new 2020 live-action Mulan, and I can go deeper into my thoughts in that video, or perhaps you all would like that to be a separate video entirely, say just a specific extended thought spoilery video. Let me know if you've got any thoughts on that. Okay. But you're like, Jeremy, the roof of my house is made of stone and I have never heard of Mulan before. What is it? Well, Mulan is a Disney-fied take on a classic Chinese tale about Mulan, a woman who joins the army in her father's place to protect her family and to go ahead and fight for China. Now in this tale, she disguises herself as a man because she would not be allowed in that army otherwise either. And hey, in this case with the live action, there is also magic, plenty of references and homages back to Disney's animated 1998 movie, as well as a number of things that have been made more Chinese than the older Disney movie. This 2020 movie is directed by New Zealand's Niki Caro and written by Lauren Hynek, Elizabeth Martin, Rick Jaffa, and Amanda Silver. And if that sounds really white for a movie about a Chinese hero, well, you're right. And that's true actually of pretty much all of the prominent positions behind the camera. One other note on this subject, both the original 1998 animated Mulan as well as the recent Disney live-action Aladdin both had more people in prominent positions behind the camera with strong connections to China, amusingly enough, even if that happened to only be one single person. I gotta say, if you're making a movie that is supposed to be more Chinese, you should really hire people who are actually Chinese behind the camera as well, not just the people who are actually doing the acting roles. Now, all that said, let me counter that by noting that while there's a lack of Chinese people involved, they did get something else right. So those people mentioned earlier, and as well as a lot of the other people involved up at the upper levels, well, they are actually women. There are a lot more women in prominent positions this time around for a movie whose main character happens to be a woman. What a concept, right? And I do mean a ton. There's a bunch of them in there. And this is great. And by the way, yes, I can both have a problem with the lack of Chinese people telling a Chinese story and also celebrate the fact that women are telling a story that stars a woman. That's the fun of nuance right there, right? And also, let me tell you that in no uncertain terms, I think they did an amazing job. Now, the cast, in terms of representation, etc., is something that I have no complaints about. Yifei Liu does an amazing job as Mulan, and that role is as make or break as it gets for a movie. And I feel she elevated the movie immensely with her performance. You get so much out of it, there's such a good character arc there too. Donnie Yen did a spectacular job giving us a powerful, honorable Commander Tung. This is a change from the other one, so we have him as a new character here, and definitely that's a commander you follow into battle, right? Li Gong makes the new adversary Enchantress so much more relatable than I could have expected from the trailers. I was really impressed with that. Jet Li brings a good amount of gravitas to the Emperor, and Jason Scott Lee gave us an intimidating and cunning antagonist in Bori Khan. And just through his performance, I think gave a little more depth to Bori Khan than he might have had otherwise from the script. Now, there are two people I especially knew well actually from their previous work, both of Mulan's parents actually, amusingly enough. First up, Rosalind Chao, who I know oh so well from Star Trek Next Generation and Deep Space Nine as the wonderful, if always underutilized, Keiko. And she did a great job with what she was given to work with here in Mulan. The other person is Tzi Ma. Now, I knew him especially from Man in the High Castle recently, 24 longer ago, and some other things here and there. And I was super excited to see him acting, and he most certainly did not disappoint and had some of the absolute strongest acting amongst everyone there in the movie. He conveyed so much through his face. Such great subtlety right there. Always a joy to watch him act. Now, there are a whole bunch of other roles in there too, and I could go on and on, because it was such a good cast and I loved watching all of them. My hat is off to the actors, the casting director, and the director herself for the wonderful job with all these performances. Okay, so what about the movie as a whole? Is it good? Yes, I most certainly think so. I definitely would say it was good. It is a really good blockbuster that pays homage to the 1998 Disney Mulan, while also charting a new, unique telling of the tale of Hua Mulan. And yes, you'll note that's Hua Mulan, not Fa Mulan, which is the more common name used over in China. Disney changed it for the 1998, I assume, to make it easier for American audiences? Well, in this case, they decided to go back to Hua. Because guess what? American audiences can say the word Hua. So, is this the best version of Mulan out there? Well, for that, I'm going to have to say no. You're going to probably need to get ready to read some subtitles and check out one of the Chinese versions if you want that. Personally, I love the 2009 Hua Mulan, which is a brilliant movie. If you haven't seen it, take a check. But this one here, this 2020 Disney take, it's absolutely gorgeous. It is a beautiful movie, and it is very well made American-Chinese blockbuster Disney take on Mulan. It has epic scope, a main character you can really get behind, surprises for you regardless of which versions of Mulan you may actually know, and some really good action sequences in there and some real heart. But what about you? Do I think you will like it? Well, first off, I gotta ask, what's your opinion on Disney's recent live-action adaptations? If you're automatically predisposed to hate them, then you probably should go ahead and skip this too. I mean, it just isn't gonna go your way. For me though, that just doesn't work for me. I just can't get into that mindset. Who cares that there's some other version that exists? After all, how many versions of Mulan or Beauty and the Beast or etc. existed before Disney even ever touched them? So what's one more version? Why is that such a horrible thing? But hey, if it is bad for you, that's fine. Maybe it's just my theatrical background too that makes me far more willing to accept new adaptations. Heck, I'm still up for new takes on Romeo and Juliet, even though I have seen so many versions already. Okay, so let us assume that you're open to these remakes. Now, this is certainly not a faithful adaptation of the 1998 Disney Mulan, nor is it a faithful adaptation of the classic Chinese versions of the tale. So if you're looking for either of those, that's not what you got here. Now, it certainly does pay homage to the 1998 Disney Mulan in many clever ways that you will only catch if you happen to know that movie well enough. And it also makes many more nods toward the original Chinese tale, more so than the 98 does, so it really honors the Chinese culture far more than the animated movie did. And I think those are both cool things. I am good with him telling a new story. And let me also tell you, I don't miss the songs in this version. It is its own movie, and while it pays homage to those songs, they wouldn't fit here in this movie. And I think that's perfectly fine. Same for Mushu. As funny as Eddie Murphy can be, he would never fit into this movie. The tone is completely wrong. So if you are up for something different and you go into it with that mindset, then you're far more likely to be able to enjoy this movie. And frankly, the trailers give you an idea for how different this is going to feel. So if that is also, again, up your alley, I think you're probably going to have a good shot at really enjoying this movie. And now, just because you probably want to know my opinion on the original, just to take that, it might not matter, maybe it does. I'll say I think the animated Disney Mulan is a good Disney movie. I don't think it's exceptional, because there are too many things that I have issues with in it, but there are also a number of things that I love about that movie. Now, some of the things I actually have problems with in the 1998 Disney Mulan are, say, one-dimensional over-the-top villains. Yeah, you can see that one. Humor that I think sometimes goes overboard, and a tale that I feel is far too American or Western for something that should ultimately be Chinese. But that said, I still love Mulan, the 1998 one. I think Mushu is funny, and the movie has good pacing, and some of the songs and certainly the music really pulls you in that 1998 animated Mulan. Ultimately, I have to tell you, the 2020 Mulan, I prefer it to the 1998 animated Mulan. Maybe that's heresy to you, but that's where I come down on it. But that said, there's still one last big elephant in the room, and that is the cost. If you have Disney Plus already, that means that it's still going to cost you up to $30 to go ahead and watch the movie. Now, how much that really is to you depends on how big your household is. If you have a big household, $30 is not as bad. If you've got a smaller household, well, then this is immensely more than going out to the movie theater, and you're only getting this for 3 months. Because guess what? You wait till December 4th, it's going to be available to everybody on Disney Plus for no extra cost. And I should also note, if you live somewhere without Disney Plus, then maybe you have movie theaters open and it will actually be showing there. Now, I can't recommend that to anyone in good conscience while the pandemic is going on, unless you happen to live somewhere that is, say, really taking care of its people, the pandemic is under control, and you can expect to be safe while seeing it, like, say, Vietnam or New Zealand, for instance, amongst other places. If you've got the means and an open mind, I say go for it, watch Mulan. If not, I might tell you to at least wait till, say, December 4th when you don't have that extra $30 charge. I think the movie is definitely well worth seeing. Now, spoiler-free way, I'll just comment some of my favorite things in the 2020 movie are most certainly Yifei's performance as Mulan, brings down the house, very good. Mulan's character arc during this movie, which I thought was really well brought through and carries all the way through the movie. I think the fight scenes are generally very nicely done. I think there are some great relationships between different characters in the movie, and even some that I think will end up surprising you. I had one character in the movie especially surprise me and was probably my second favorite character in the movie. Wasn't expecting that. And I also have to say there are so many really touching moments in this movie. And yes, it can definitely pull some tears. And oh, let me comment, the movie is beautiful for the costumes. The colors that are in here, also the landscapes, the cinematography of how this whole movie is shot. It is a visual treat. And I definitely recommend the movie. Well, hey, there you have it. If you're interested in me talking about my extended spoiler-filled thoughts, go ahead and let me know. And also, let me know if you think that should be a separate video from a comparison of the two versions. I'm flexible on this, but I'm hoping to get to it in the not too distant future. And with that, what about you? Have you seen the new Mulan yet? And if not, are you excited to? And if you have, what did you think? And as always, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, share it with anyone you think will too, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. Have a magical day, and may the Force be with you always.